Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video I want to share my experience of using Mylar sheet for creative portraits in studio. She's come bearing presents. Look at her face. Thank you. Don't you just love it when they come bringing presents? Wrap up. Ching ching. Guys, Mylar. What is Mylar? Mylar is a reflective surface. It looks like paper and a little bit of plastic together, but it's a very reflective surface. It's primarily used in the agriculture sector, so you can find it in farmhouses and greenhouses, but it's also becoming very popular for use in photography and getting creative with photography. So that's the reason why we're going to be using it today. I'll put a link in the description below where you can go and find this particular Mylar that I'm using here, but also link it Amazon version you can also purchase. So why Mylar? Why did I use Mylar? So this particular sheet was a portfolio session for my model, which was Dominika on this occasion. So Dominika is someone that you guys might have seen on the channel before, but today we wanted to create something different and something unique, something that I personally haven't done before and she hasn't done before either. So by using this Mylar sheet, we were aiming to actually create some unique portraits. And from all my research that I looked up on YouTube, online, etc., using Mylar sheet, there's a couple of things you need to take into consideration. And one of those was you probably need, and for best results, using Mylar in combination with continuous lights. On this occasion, I had 3 continuous lights. For my main light, which was the light that was doing most of the heavy lifting and bouncing, was a Pixel Pro Daylight 60D LED continuous light. This light was also paired with a normal 5-inch reflector, which was silver on the inside, which helped in terms of with the reflection. The other 2 lights were just basic soft. They were a lot softer than the main light, so they were just basic LED panels, but they weren't as strong, so they did not actually do a lot in terms of reflecting of the Mylar. The main reflection was actually coming from the 60D rather than those 2 other lights. So what I then did was I utilized those lights to actually light up my model's face, just to add a little bit more light to the model's face, because the light was pointing towards the Mylar, is obviously then bouncing upwards. It was casting weird shadows in different areas. So having the other 2 lights to actually light up my model's face, but also use one as sort of like a rim light to separate her a little bit from the backdrop as well, that was really helpful. But yeah, in terms of the actual shots and the images that you're going to be seeing, they are all images straight out of camera. For my camera, I was using the Sony a7 IV, and that was paired with a Tamron 35-150 f2 to 2.8 on this occasion. That gives me the flexibility of getting sort of a wider shot, more of an establishing shot, as well as getting some close-up shots. And just for some added movement in the shot, we introduced a fan just to add some movement to Dominika's hair, and also got Dominika to kind of like move through, so after every frame was just flowing and moving, almost like she was performing a little dance as she was posing. That way I'll be able to capture some unique poses and some unique images based off of her movement. We were also tethering straight to capture 1, which obviously made the process a lot easier in terms of making sure that we are nailing our shots and getting the shots that we want, and making any sort of like tweaks that we need to make. If you do enjoy videos like this, I make weekly behind the scene videos showcasing my workflow and my working process when it comes to portrait and fashion photography. So if this is something you're interested in, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. As you can see from the video, we first started off with lying on the floor, which we captured some really nice images of, and then we start working our way upwards. The intention was to also do some standing shots, and this is where it gets a little bit more tricky, simply because the Mylar and the way the light was bouncing off the Mylar, most of the effect was actually happening around Dominika's feet or below her waist. So when she stood up, the other challenge we had was then the light was predominantly coming from below, so it almost gives you the hard down below light, which is not great in terms of like lighting a female model, especially if you are trying to showcase her best features. That style of lighting is only used in horror movies. You can utilize it in certain scenarios and certain situations to create something very unique and nice, but for this it wasn't what we wanted. So that then resulted in me raising the other two lights slightly higher to then illuminate Dominika's face, knowing the fact that the bottom half of Dominika was already illuminated using the continuous light that was bouncing and reflecting off the Mylar. So with that, we experimented and played around a little bit, and we ended up with some really unique and amazing images. That being said, what would I change and why? Personally, I would probably change two things. One, I would probably use maybe 2 or 3 of the same continuous light similar to the 60D, so you get a lot more directional light and a lot more power, and that way I can actually manipulate the Mylar a little bit more and position the light where, you know, it's getting as much reflection as possible. And then I may also add a flash at a lower setting with potentially a grid, so something like maybe a strip box with a grid or a small softbox with a grid. That way I can focus the light on Dominika's face. So those are the things I will probably do in terms of like changes I will make if I was to do this setup again. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how the images turned out, and I'm super excited to actually try this technique again. And I've got so many different ideas I want to experiment with using this particular material for photo shoots and getting like really creative. So that's it, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the images. I will put some of the final images here. If you'd like to see more of the final images, be sure to follow myself and Model Dominika on Instagram, where we will be sharing a lot more of the final product. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.